Another year has passed, and so we are 1 year closer to death. Thankfully, we have gaming mice to distract ourselves from our own mortality. And what a year it has been for gaming mice. There have been so many incredible mice released, which means that picking the best mouse of the year has never been so difficult. I've got a few awards to hand out, including the most consumer friendly and most innovative shape, to name a few. There will also be a top 5 and best overall mouse of 2024. Hopefully the winners of these prestigious awards will display them on their product pages with pride. And don't forget to subscribe, because there will be a worst mouse of 2024 video as well. The first award relates to a disappointing trend. Over the past few years, we've seen less experimental shapes. A lot of manufacturers just pick an existing design, but then they've added a unique and exciting twist by increasing the hump width by a millimeter. Some manufacturers are even just remaking last year's release, but with slight internal changes. It's been pretty dire when it comes to the selection of unique shapes, so when the shape gods themselves released the U2, I was pretty excited. This mouse was designed with a clear objective, and Zowie did a great job of illustrating and explaining their design philosophy, something that is a rarity these days. Probably because it would just be, well, we chose the Viper Mini shape but made it a bit smaller. Zowie clearly saw people using the super light with their claw grip, having their thumb bent at a 90-degree angle, and decided to take responsibility to reduce the amount of players developing tendonitis because they copied their favourite pro player's grip type. The U2 had a clear user market that they aimed to appeal to. This mouse wins the most innovative shape of 2024 because of the effort that Zowie put into the shape and the clear illustration of who this mouse is designed for, which in turn allows consumers to make an informed decision on whether or not the mouse is right for them. The next category is a more important one. With countless amounts of cheaper gaming mice that are available, the more expensive category looks less lucrative. So companies that ask you for more money for their product better give you your money's worth. And regrettably, a lot of them don't, with manufacturers focusing heavily too much on superficial performance upgrades and less on, I don't know, just a wacky example here, improving their product. When a company charges a lot of money, I feel that the mouse has to be almost flawless, and that applies to everything. The coating, switches, performance, quality, and even the software that comes with it has to be great. And I think the Razer Viper V3 Pro has achieved that. I know Synapse, but I'll explain myself in a moment. This mouse was massively improved from the previous Viper V2 Pro. The coating, mouse feet, performance, and shape have all been massively improved. This mouse is a premium product, and it's one of the only mice in this price bracket that I think is actually worth paying for. Which is pretty insane for me to say, as I'm very value for money focused, and this does cost around $160, but you are getting a complete gaming mouse for that. Other mice in the same price range do have multiple flaws, like garbage stock mouse feet that I'd expect to find in a $5 mouse. And even Synapse, yes, Synapse actually provides functional features that aren't just gimmicks. Being able to separate polling rates for when you're either in or out of game is a great way to offset the reduced battery life of increased polling rates. And the sensor rotation and mouse acceleration features are also a great addition. This is the best premium gaming mouse. Razer has set the standard of what an expensive gaming mouse should be, and in doing so have made a lot of the other mice in the same price bracket look awful in comparison. The next category is one of the most competitive, with the rise of obscure AliExpress mice. These are often clones of existing shapes and come with up to 5 varieties of the same mouse, leading you to have to decipher the product page that might as well be written in Egyptian hieroglyphics. These mice often have the bare minimum amount of effort put into them, which is why they cost so little, but there was one that popped out of nowhere that took me by surprise. It's not as cheap as some of the other mice you can find on AliExpress, but the additional money that you pay for this is 100% worth it. The Skyrox V8 is an insane mouse for the price. This is essentially a ninjutsu Sora, but cheaper and a bit lighter. This comes in at around 36 grams, and despite its incredible lightweight, the mouse overall feels solid. A lot of the cheaper AliExpress mice, unsurprisingly, feel a bit cheap. There's often something that's slightly off about them, but when you pay $40, that's not a big deal. When you pay around $70 for this, you still expect some flaws. but with my version there are none. And it's not like you're missing out on anything with its reduced price. It supports 8000Hz polling with the dongle included, it's using a 3950 sensor and has on-run optical switches. But the best thing about this mouse is the cool box and skin feel painting. This is by far the best value for money mouse, and it's going to be interesting to see how Skyrox changes the pricing landscape of gaming mice in the future. I am a big fan of quality gaming mice. The first thing that I do when I get one is give them a squeeze, a shake, slap, tap, and hopefully it won't snap. If it passes all of that, then it's about how the mouse feels overall in your hand. Quality is a sum of the components used, the consistency of the feel, and how rigid the mouse is when you're getting a bit tilted and apply a bit more added pressure to the mouse. And to me, there's only one winner, and that is Vaxi mice. More specifically, I would say their newer models such as the XES and the E1, and probably whatever they come out with in the future. These mice have found an amazing balance between weight and quality of the product. Even though the 60-gramish weight is considered a brick by some of the weaker gamers, to me it's still perfectly acceptable and doesn't really have any downsides. What you get in return is a product that physically feels incredible. Vaxi's previous mice had been a bit hit and miss. They provided excellent shapes that were meticulously designed for certain grip types, but they often were a bit heavier and had a few minor flaws, one of which being button movement when pressed down. But it feels like with every release Vaxi improves, and as someone that has used almost every single mouse that they have released, their newer mice really do feel incredible. And a decent contributor to that is their inclusion of using mechanical switches in their product. That just enables their mice to feel a little bit more superior than others on the market. And that's why they win the highest quality mouse award. If there's one thing I like more than a high quality mouse, it's one that is consumer friendly. Consumer friendliness can mean multiple things: repairability, customization of the product, and even just respecting the users that buy and use the product in question. And the Endgame Gear OP1 8K fulfills most of those things. I absolutely love the option of being able to change switches out. You can even purchase a hot swappable switch PCB, which comes with 7 different switch types to choose from, meaning you can find a switch that feels amazing for you. It also means that if the switches ever break, it's easy to replace them. With mice moving towards optical switches that all have different pin setups, switch swapping is almost impossible. The OP1 8K is truly a breath of fresh air in that department. Furthermore, if you want to swap out switches on other mice, you have to remove the mouse feet as they're covering the screws. But with the OP1 8K, they are exposed, and the alternative mouse feet, which are bigger, also have cutouts for these screws, so you don't have to peel them away hoping that you keep the shape intact. It's brilliant. To me, I wish every mouse had this kind of setup. Unfortunately, not even Endgame Gear follows this setup, as their newer mice don't have this switch hot swapping. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now, as that is an older shape and may not be able to support it. But that's not all. They have software for their mice, and you know what? It's lightweight and functional. No unnecessary bloat, just the bare minimum functions, and that's all. Again, respecting your users. That's why the Endgame Gear OP1 8K wins the Consumer Friendly Award. And finally, we have the award that we've all been waiting for: the best mouse of 2024. This was legitimately going to be a 3-way tie, then a tie, and now I've just about picked my favourite of the year. Not every mouse that I've just mentioned is in this top 5. It is a bit more subjective, as I do take into account how well I've played with the mouse and how comfortable it is for me, as well as things that I have mentioned previously, such as the quality of the mouse and value for money. So, without further stalling, at number 5 is the Endgame Gear OP1 8K, a great wired mouse at a great price, and as I said, it's the most consumer friendly mouse in the market. The shape may not be great for everyone, but this is one of the highest performing mice available, and is certainly one of the best mice that you can buy. At number 4 is the Vaxi XES specifically, but I can also vouch for the E1 as also being an incredibly well made mouse. Even though these are on the more expensive side, they more than make up for it with their superior quality and performance. At number 3 we have the Razer Viper V3 Pro, one of the best mice that you can buy, but might put people off with its high price. If you can get it on sale, you'll be getting a bargain. At number 2 is a mouse that I haven't mentioned yet, and that is the Lamzu Maya X Fnatic Edition or not. This mouse is just great. It's 47 grams and is still a pretty decent size, which is a rarity these days. This is a mouse that is great for almost every grip type and is by far one of the most comfortable, symmetrical mice I've used since the Superlight. Which means that at number 1 is the Skyrox V8. This mouse deserves its top spot because it's just so cheap and could easily cost around $120, and I doubt many people would complain about that price. But here we are, a 37-gram mouse that costs only $70. Since it was sent out to me, it hasn't left my desk. A big reason why I like it so much is because of the similarities to the Ninjutsu Sora, and the Sora 4K was the best mouse of 2023. So congratulations to Skyrox for their victory with the V8. I have no doubt that the drinks will be flowing in an epic celebration at winning this award. Don't forget there will be a worst mouse video of 2024 coming soon, so subscribe so you don't miss it, and make sure you come prepared with your pitchfork sharpened because it is going to get a bit spicy. And if you want to check out the best gaming keyboard you can buy right now, there is a video on screen now you can watch.